welcome back to Bullpen Banter. It is Thursday, April 3rd, the first off day of the 2025 season for the Toronto Blue Jays. We're going to do some, recapping of their opening homestand. We're going to talk about how things are going around the league now that we, finally at long last have real Major League Baseball games to talk about. The opening homestand went pretty well for the Jays. 5-2 series split with the Baltimore Orioles that looked pretty improbable to start, but they pulled out a couple of wins there. And then the first sweep of the season against the Nats. Lots to dig into there. It's a mixed bag. They have some standout performances. Andrés Giménez hitting bombs like no one thought was possible, and also Max Scherzer being taken down by a sore thumb. So lots to dig into there. Before we get into the hometown specific stuff, we are just going to bounce around the league a little bit and touch on some of the most interesting stories from around baseball. So I think Christian has some stuff to get us started there.
Definitely a lot to talk about around the league within these the first week, but what stood out was the Atlanta Braves. As of this recording, the winless Atlanta Braves, the only team to remain winless right now. Who would have thought? But no, they're you can't have scripted a worse start to a season. You have a PED suspension. You have multiple key players that are out. You have your manager contemplating retiring after the season. And yeah, it's just really eerie vibes right now with the Braves. Yeah, everyone is hitting under Mendoza line right now. Guys like Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Marcell Ozuna, Ozzy Albies all slumping right now. But then again, it's not the best scheduling spot to start the season. You go with the two behemoths from the West. You got the Padres to start off. You got some good starters there. But then now you have the Dodgers. I mean, it's tough. Like if you come out of that 500, then shout out to you. You're going to be one of the best teams in the National League for sure. But no, it's really tough vibes right there.
I want to know what Anthopoulos did to Manfred in the offseason to get that schedule to start the year. That's crazy. Like, that's a tough West Coast trip to kick the year off. But speaking of that West Coast trip, the Dodgers look the complete polar opposite. They look insane right now. Franchise record to start since they moved Brooklyn, of course. I count that as the old franchise. So with franchise record, I still think it counts. Anyway, that's a different conversation. But 6-0 to start the year as of, like we say, recording this. They still haven't played tonight's game, but with an incredible start. Mookie Betts, 160 pounds, soaking wet. He's going to launch 3 nukes. What are we doing here? This is insane. Yeah, I mean, it's Mookie.
Never in doubt.
Should have saw it coming. He's an animal. He's probably one of the most exciting players in the league by far.
Professional bowler on the off season. You could do it all, man.
7 years for sure. He's been atop the league, and it's just every year. It's awesome.
Yeah, tremendous amounts of swag. Nothing that he can't do, really. I mean, he's running routes like a professional too. I hear. But yeah,
he does have a crisp break off.
Yeah. I've heard plenty, but it's interesting when you look at those two teams and kind of contrasting them. We were saying the Dodgers and Braves have been two of the best teams in the National League probably for the last decade, roughly, when you look at both combined playoff and regular season success. And then you look at these disparate starts they've had. It's pretty staggering, especially touching on, some of the Braves injury luck, stemming back to last year, losing probably their best position player in Ronald Acuna, and then also Spencer Strider going down, looking to get those guys back soon. But then, you're taking hits like Ronaldo Lopez, who was a breakout starter last year, going to the 15-day IL. You got Jurickson Profar, their big offseason addition, breakout season last year, getting hit with an 80-game PED suspension.
Now we know why.
Yeah, now we know why exactly. We got the numbers up here for Profar as well, because there was a lot of kind of theorizing and people kind of doing digging last year, trying to figure out, okay, where's this breakout coming from? Like, what has he made any um, kind of notable changes to his approach? Has he put on a bunch of muscle? Has he changed his swing or his stance at all? That's causing him kind of like tap into this previously unseen power. And there wasn't a whole lot there, to be quite honest. Like he was hitting the ball harder, but yeah, the quality of contact shot up last year. Like his ex-Woba on contact was 336 in 2023.
Ex-Wobacon
Jumped
alert!
up
Ex-Wobacon alert!
ex-Wobacon
Ex-Wobacon
alert.
alert!
Funny, but also very good stat. And so it jumped up from 336 to 411. So yeah, just crushing balls. And like for just to explain X Wobicon, if anyone is unfamiliar, it's basically putting into context what you could expect their weighted on base average to be off the quality of contact. So even balls that are getting caught or getting lined right at fielders, it's taking that into consideration and saying, okay, when a guy hits a ball this hard at this angle, how often is it going to be a hit? And it's grading it off that, not what actually happens. Um, so yeah, like he was making a lot better contact. The exit velocity, average exit, 90th percentile average exit velocity was up 3 miles per hour from like about 102 to 105.
Now,
So
where
yeah,
does 3 miles per hour come randomly from?
I don't know, right? It's
It's
so
gotta
hard
be
to
that.
say.
It's gotta be that. It's gotta be the feet a little bit closer together in the box, right?
You would think so,
Mm.
or maybe he's opened up his stance a little bit.
Oh yeah, he's turning on pitches just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, ever since Will Smith
No,
called him irrelevant, he took that personally, but he took it
I guess
under his
so.
own hands,
Yeah.
you know?
No, it's out.
And
I mean, what was the name of it?
yeah, I was just pulling it up here. I had the name of the band substance. It's a chorionic gonadotropin, which I almost certainly just butchered there. I don't have a pronunciation guide up.
Sounded
But
good.
yeah,
Oh,
thank you. I
oh my
appreciate that.
god.
It's yeah, HCG, which I had read was essentially like generally used as a masking agent for when people are getting off of the steroid cycle in order to start up natural testosterone production. So that's pretty like
So he
he
wasn't
said that he did.
juicing. He wasn't juicing last year while he was doing good. He just juiced before last year when he did good in the
Yeah,
off season. You're telling me he's an off season juicer?
that's I mean that's what you would think. Like I mean I don't know the specifics of how steroid cycles work for high performance athletes.
Allegedly,
I'm sure
allegedly.
allegedly of course, but I'm sure there's different ways to go about it. But like just generally speaking from like my general knowledge of both baseball and other professional sports in general, like the off season is generally when players like to try and pack on as much muscle as possible because generally they're losing weight and losing muscle throughout like a strenuous season. They're traveling all the time. They're putting a ton of stress on their bodies. They're not getting to work out as much because they're putting most of their kind of effort into games, right? Into like playing the sport. So that's generally a time when they're losing like a certain amount of muscle. So obviously to counteract that, you want to pack on as much as you can in the off season and go in. Like Kevin Gosman, for example, this year talked a lot about like getting his weight up. He's going to lose that throughout the season and trying to stay kind of like this struggle to stay above 200 pounds roughly. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything definitive. Bjergsen came out and I think denied taking anything intentionally. As there's these generally kind of these, you know, murky statements that come out after these kind of suspensions. But that was my that is the information that I can put out there objectively.
And yeah, I totally agree. I think it's tough to make full on judgments without knowing what's really going on, but it's fun to comedically speculate, and we'll never really know what's going on. But yeah, off
I
season
mean, he was hitting
juicer.
the ball harder with San Diego than he was in Colorado when he had that 2-month stint there. That also says a lot too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so talking about guys that are making like kind of these huge leaps in performance, but then in Profar's case, there's no notable change. We have a guy who, so far, through an extremely tiny sample with the Jays, this is hitting very well. Andrés Giménez. I mean, what do you guys think? I know we were saying probably getting piss tested
Yeah,
already.
random
We
piss
were
test
thinking.
alert. right after this homestand, definitely it's
He's
gonna come to him
probably
and his
already
way.
had 2 yeah, he's probably already had 2 waiting in his locker, honestly. They
Yeah, got
probably
the
after the
check,
second one.
got the letter from Manfred. Yeah,
But
something's different.
then the difference
Uh,
with Menace, and we're gonna get into this a bit later and touch on it more in depth. But it appears with him that there, unlike Profar, there may actually be some more kind of notable changes that he's made to what he's doing in the box. So we'll get into that a bit.
you know who definitely hasn't juiced in the offseason? Rafael Devers. That guy is swinging a pool noodle right now. What are we saying, pal? Oh my goodness. He has 32 swing and misses. This is before today's game. Next closest is at 20. They've played 6 games, 7. They had the off day already. So they've played 6 games. Tonight will be 7. Uh oh my goodness. That's insane. That's a lot of swing and misses. And his in swing swing and miss on like on pitches in the zone is above 50%. So it's not like he's chasing terrible sliders off and away the plate, or like he's just taking rips and he's just not coming up with anything to show for it.
So I saw analysis from MLB Network's Mark DeRosa, Blue Jay legend, by the way. He was comparing what Devers looks like now compared to what he was last season, and there are glaring signs. There's definitely differences. His front leg is coming up a little bit later than he did last year. So that's explains why he's so much later on the fastballs and he's whiffing on all of them. Um, and I think it's all also mentally, like he had to come to the reality that he was not gonna be on the field no more. So just being on the dugout for that much longer during the games, it definitely has to take some kind of toll with you. And especially for a young kid like Devers, he's still kind of young. He's still 28 years old. It's not like he's in his mid 30s. So it's definitely a grind mentally for sure. I can't say because I've never been in that kind of like predicament for sure, but of course it has to take some kind of toll on you. So it probably definitely affected the way like he came up to the bat, and like it definitely like it messed up his mechanics for sure.
Yeah, when you look at that and you kind of consider, okay, what's changed with him? That is the thing that kind of immediately jumps out at you. It's okay, he's gone from being a near everyday position player in the field to being well, they're calling him their everyday DH now. And he is spending more time in the dugout, like you're saying. So it is like it's difficult not considering his struggles to
It,
start the
it's
season
it's
to
definitely weird, yeah.
yeah, it's like difficult not to consider or speculate like is that impacting anything? It's impossible to know. Like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that is definitely one of the factors that you can point to as far as what's changed. And like Zach said, yeah, over 50% whiff rate, by far the highest in the league, with 54.7% whiff rate. Over like yeah, seven. It's exactly 7% above second place Julio Rodriguez. And then after that, it's like, Julio at 47, Buxton at 46, Ryan Bliss 45, Cole Kaiser 44. Everyone kind of packed together there. And then you have Devers way out in front of the pack at nearly 55%. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, that's wild. I'm happy to share with you that he has broken free for a hit. It was 0 for 24, and now he is 1 for 25 with an RBI double, 109 miles per hour off the bat. So congratulations to Rafael Devers. Maybe they got a shipment of torpedo bats last night, and he figured it out. But
And
hey,
he
well,
came
that's
off a
something to
curveball
definitely keep in
too.
order. Yeah, damn. So definitely not the heater. He's got 9 Ks on the heater, and we just turned the calendar to April. So
Yeah.
that's absolutely insane. One of the craziest bad starts I can remember in a long time. But he's a streaky guy. Like we've mentioned this before. Like he probably would
He
have
should he should bounce
a
back.
stretch like this in his career. Like you could go and probably find some a worse one or one just as bad as this, and it just got masked up by the fact that it happened in June and not at the start of the year. So he'll be if you own him in fantasy, don't fret is our first response.
Yeah, it's small sample size madness right now. It is the
Yeah,
season of overreacting to things, which why
which is
let's
fun.
lean all the way in. Yeah, exactly. Let's lean
It
all the
is
way
fun,
into it
yeah.
and have a great time. So speaking of
Speaking,
overreacting to small
I was gonna say,
samples and considering the team we're talking about the Red Sox, the Jays are going to be playing them not their next series, but the series after that. They're playing a team right now. The Jays are already played the Orioles. So let's dig into a little bit of the Jays opening homestand and all of the success that we can blow out of proportion.
the the worst overreaction. Actually, it's terrible. I'm talking about Toronto sports here, but it was one of the craziest overreactions I've seen in a minute from Toronto sports after opening day. It was terrible on Twitter and like on social media.
Okay,
It
so
was
you're
like
going even smaller sample all the way down to just the one game opening
I'm gonna
day.
break down that one small sample size of opening day just because I needed to talk about it. I don't know if we can beat it into people's heads even harder that there's 162 of these. And I think people on opening day were pitchfork. Oh my, it was insane. It was insane. I just had to get that off my chest. I actually got off Twitter on opening day because I was so angry.
See,
I was so angry.
I don't even pay attention to any of that personally. I mean, I see like a little bit of it, and like I saw people like joking around. Like I see people at work at Sportsnet, and people are saying stuff like, "Oh, like bad Blue Jays baseball is back," and like, "Oh, they're bad." And like, it's like, and even if they were bad, sure, but like, yeah, overreacting to the one game is definitely something that
Yeah, I
like
get it. It's
people out,
opening day, but
yeah, people that are outside of baseball, like yeah, maybe necessarily don't understand Super Bowl. And there's some people that are even like, super focused on baseball and maybe they're out of
yeah,
touch with like how to like stand back and like take in the bigger picture and be measured kind of in your evaluation of things. But yeah, that's
So wait,
definitely
the Brewers are not gonna give up 8 home runs a game every single game for the rest of the season? Is that what you're saying?
I actually
I don't know. I don't
per,
know.
personally I think the
Oh,
Yankees are going to hit 1,000 home runs this year. That's what I think.
I
torpedo
can't believe
bats.
they couldn't have been a better staff to face debuting the torpedo bats than probably the Brewers. I can think of probably a couple more, but
Real
it was
quick
a
on the Brewers before we head back to the Brewers, sorry to cut you off, Zach.
they're good, bro.
Lowest fastball velocity in all of MLB amongst teams goes to the Brewers. And I think it was averaged less than 90 miles per hour, factoring Nestor Cortez, Aaron Savali. They were just getting shellacked
If you
in
throw
that
me
stadium.
188-mile-an-hour fastballs down the middle, I'll eventually time one up and get some good wood on it. Like that's oh my goodness. I can't believe they're averaging below 90. I knew they were low, but that's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean, even Freddie Peralta, like he's good, but I, calling him an ace, that's a pretty big stretch.
He bounced back today. He looked like an ace against the Royals today. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely a tough ballpark though. Opening day at Yankee Stadium, hostile environment. So I can't give him that much. Gotta cut him some slack a little bit.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the Jays, I mean, obviously successful. If we're gonna overreact to this homestand. 5-2, very good record. Not hitting for a ton of power. They're at 20th with 5 home runs so far. Three of those off the bat of um, thought to be glove first second baseman Andrés Giménez, who fans
Wild.
are immediately taking to, obviously, and are like, it's funny because there's so much like consternation in the offseason over, oh, they're adding another defender, and oh, they're going for the three-peat in Team Gold Glove and all that stuff. And I mean, his defense is incredible. We could probably do a whole podcast on his defense.
Oh, it's so fun to
But
watch.
oh yeah, it's fantastic.
It's been a
Um,
treat.
but yeah, like I mean, I do think that there's probably too much overreaction the other way as well. Like now, I mean, first we had people comparing him to like Taylor Walls and Dylan Moore and being like the Jays are paying this much money and hitting a guy cleanup who's worse than Taylor Walls and Dylan Moore, which I certainly don't think is the case. But I also don't think that Andres is going to hit 20 bombs this year or anything, or really be the kind of ideal option for that cleanup role either.
I I would
Agreed.
like. Could you imagine if he hit 20 bombs this year? I
Honestly, I think that
that's
could
like
be a
the
thing.
missing piece. That's the missing piece. Like if he can hit 20 bombs this year, that's the Will Wagner turning into an all. Like that's a thing that you didn't bank on this year coming in. That if it happens, it's something that can really push you over the top. I feel like.
So I think it is like it is feasible. I think it's not. I'm not putting it with outside of their own
So
possibility. I don't think
his
I don't think
career
it's like
high was 17 home runs in 2022. Yeah, sorry. Continue
yeah.
what you're saying.
No, no, and yeah, I was gonna get into that. Like, I don't think it's like feasible or like I was gonna say, yeah, he's never hit over 20 home runs before, 17 max, usually in the single digits kind of thing. So yeah, I don't like, I definitely don't think it's likely. If we're gonna get into the Jimenez conversation here, I do have a little bit of
Let's do
information
it.
on that
Let's do it.
because when you look at like you know small sample size season right now, small sample size madness. So if we're gonna talk about that and try to talk about it with any kind of like authority. Um, the way to do that is probably, and I give some credit to Blake Murphy here. He's the kind of one who put some of these ideas out here as far as how to evaluate a small sample size properly. Um, you want to look at how extreme is the result. So like is like someone like if the small sample size they're just doing a little better than normal or a little worse, probably noise, right? If it's like a crazy, like extreme result way above what you'd normally expect, then it's like, okay, that might be more notable. That's really like an outlier. The other thing you want to evaluate is there an underlying factor that could be causing this? Like if they're let's say, Bobachet started like hitting a bunch of nukes again and he was doing way better than last year, or all of a sudden like Chris Bassett was racking up a bunch of strikeouts or something more than normal. It's like, okay, are they doing the exact same thing they always do and they're just getting different results? So then it's like, made that seems like it might be that might not be real, right? But if there is like an actual tangible change that you can point to where it's okay, they're doing something different, then it's like, okay, maybe this is real and maybe like there is something here. Which in this case with Andres, there is some noticeable changes in his batting stance, in how he's positioning himself. So now that it's super cool that Statcast has all of the stance data, like and how guys are
It's
standing in the box.
unreal.
Oh, it's
Shows
so
you how
sick, man.
insane Justin Turner was too.
Oh yeah, that is a whole other conversation, man. The way he stands in the box is quite psycho. But like, I mean, I've hardly scratched the surface. I don't know about you guys with this stance tracking stuff. I really probably got to get it into it a bit more and really see what's going on.
Yeah.
With other guys as well. But with Andres, so his depth in the box was like how far away he's standing from the pitcher essentially was deeper the last in 2023 and 2024. The last 2 years before this, it was 24.5 and 24.2, so about the same. This year it's 27.5. So he's standing a little bit deeper. His distance off the plate, again, a little bit more. It was around 28 inches the last couple years. It's 31 now. So that's pretty cool. And his distance apart is between his feet. So kind of how far his feet spread apart there has gone down. It used to be 37.8 inches. Now it's 29.5, just about 30 inches. So the last 2 seasons, those things were all kind of aligned. And now there's some noticeable changes. And then probably the biggest one here is he's opened up his stance. He was right around like between 1 and 3 degrees the last 2 seasons prior to this. And now he's opened up to 16 degrees open. So we have all these actual measured data and how he's changing the stance, and then he's getting better results at the plate. And obviously, it's not just that he's made these changes on his own. He's come to a new team, has a new hitting coach. He's working with new people, getting different feedback. So the idea that he's actually maybe found something in his stance or in his swing that he's managed to identify and alter to get better results is plausible. I think they're like, I'm not saying again, I'm not even really a believer that he's gonna like have a crazy good offensive season. I think it'll be much better than his like terrible last year. But yeah, like I find that pretty promising.
Yeah,
He is from the new adjustments he's making. He's getting more like if you're gonna have a closer distance between your feet, you're gonna potentially get more from your back leg as well, considering that you're also making the adjustments with the angles. So David Popkins, he's cooking up something good so far. He's definitely leaving a good first impression. But also, I think these adjustments for Jimenez was essential. He knew that his bat speed was bottom tier as well. And to compensate for that, you have to make some adjustments with how you're hitting and what your stance is as well. So whether it's you have a leg kick to drive more power, or whether it's you gotta open up your stance a little bit to be able to be more of a pull happy hitter. Do what you gotta do, because if your bat speed is bottom tier, like bottom 20th percentile, and you're not making good contact with the ball, you're not gonna be a successful hitter in the big leagues.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think like all the reasons that you guys just went through are like tangible reasons that I think he can produce a better season than he did last year. I don't know if he's going to be 2022 form, but I think he can do. Well, I mean, last year was pretty bad, so obviously he's going to do better than last year. We can expect some of old Ross's faithful positive regression there. But like another tangible number that jumps off at me right away that just like, hey, this could be around to stay for a good chunk of a time. His average bat speed, like you said, was last year like really bottom of the league, 68.3. He's added a full 2 miles per hour. He's up to 70.1 this year. Now, as probably the year goes on, it'll probably get tired. Like the season wears on, you'll probably lose a few miles per hour. So we can expect that he's probably not going to stick right at 70 for the entire year, but 2 miles per hour is it's a lot. It's not a little. That's a pretty big chunk.
yeah,
So
that's significant. Yeah.
maybe there will be a few extra cups coming his way into his locker that he might have to take into the bathroom with him. But uh, I think that there's like, don't get me wrong. I was joking earlier about Profar. There's ways to improve your swing without juicing. There's ways to add miles per hour to your swing without juicing. So I wonder if that was a real emphasis for him. Was like, okay, I'm not gonna get top tier of the league, but maybe I can at least add 1 or 2 miles per hour, 1 or 2 ticks here that can help me a little bit. Like it's a significant change. I do think it's helping him.
And even just the theme of Dave Hopkins so far, guys getting off their A swings more often. He's been saying he wants to see that A swing, and we've seen that I think from other guys on the team as well, and the team as a whole. I don't have the hard numbers in front of me right now, but to my understanding, it's the reference quite a bit of the bat speed is up, and guys are getting off better swings. So that does seem to be the trend on the whole. But so talking about changes. Andrés Giménez making some changes. Another player on the Jays that's seen a change this year has been Yuriel Rodriguez, who moved from a starting role last year into a bullpen role. What we've seen so far, a bit of a leverage bullpen role, um, which has been going quite well for him. Uriel has looked really good. He is so just his average fastball velo is up from 93.9 last year, below average for right-handed pitchers, to 96.1. He's been maxing out at 98. I think it was dialing up like 98.2. Um, and
Trying to whistle.
I was trying to see. I was like, "What are you doing there?" For a second, I
Yeah,
thought
trying
your
to
audio
whistle
cut or
because
something.
that's making me happy.
Oh yeah,
Nothing
it's
like I we still have to wait for that. I don't know how I'm gonna sound dumb here, but I can't think of the last Blue Jays pitcher to reach. It was Hicks, Jordan Hicks. I would say the last Blue Jays pitcher to reach triple digits would be probably Jordan Hicks, but uh,
Oh, for sure.
we don't get a lot of velo around here. So when we see these
no.
98, 99s, I get a little excited, you know.
It's very exciting. I remember being a kid, going to a Blue Jays game as a kid, and seeing Brandon Lee dial up 98 and being my eyes popping out of my head, because at that time the velos wasn't quite what it was now. And I remember seeing that and being like, "This is a god amongst men. Like this guy is." I was immediately a Brandon Lee fan.
And
And
he was
yeah,
throwing some
Uriel,
like funky delivery
90,
too. Like he was throwing sidearmed as well. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, that was great.
that's a
And yeah,
huge pull. That's a pull that can get you so many daps at a party. If you pull that name out, you're gonna be the crowd fave for sure.
yeah, this is okay. I'm totally getting off track with this, and I'm just going to touch on
That's
this like
fine. We're in
super
the
super
bullpen.
briefly. Yeah, but I did. So I don't know if you guys saw. I meant to mention this to you guys when we saw each other earlier today, or yesterday actually for Christian as well. But so I did the Immaculate Grid yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw what it was, but it was just
Yeah.
played in the MLB. Like it was just you could
Yeah.
pick any player and you just try to get. So I got a zero rarity score. And I did all like niche Blue Jays, mostly from my childhood. So I had Munenori Kawasaki, just
Thanks.
because I had to have him. And then I had Lyle Overbay, Brandon League, Eric Hinsky, John McDonald, Scott Richmond, Rod Barajas, Anthony Gose, and Sean Kim.
Oh my goodness.
And they're all like
Legendary.
Oh, bro,
0.000.
you should have screenshotted and tweeted that on the bullpen account. That would have been a banger.
We'll send it out. Let's send
Yeah.
it out because that's
So
it's a classic.
I had the same kind of sentiment. I did East Coast big leaguers. I had to
Oh, nice dude.
I tried to pick I tried to do 9 without googling it, and it was really early in the morning, and I got it, and I was like, okay, uh, yeah, this isn't yeah, I need more coffee, or I'm going to Google, and I just went to Google for the ninth. So I'm a failure at Immaculate Grid, but it was still fun.
Nah, it's a good
There are
time
some
either
other
way.
there are some other people that was using that Immaculate Grid as an opportunity to label the most hated big leaguers for particular reasons.
Ah,
And
That's a
if
good
I'm gonna
one.
label it out, Trevor Bauer, Roberto
fair.
Osuna, Aroldis Chapman, Marcel Osuna, all those guys
Oh,
have something
those
in
kind of
common
reasons.
for
Those
those
kind
kind of
of
Yeah,
reasons.
reasons.
just
Yeah.
bad guys. Yeah, Rolly said
Okay.
Aroldis.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
Julio Uriases of them, you know?
Yeah.
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 Miguel Escobar,
That's
if we're gonna throw a
crazy.
J in there. But
That's
I guess
crazy.
Osuna as
We
well.
could
But
you could do a I wonder if you could get 9 J's. I can think of about 4 right now for sure.
Anthony Bass is another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could get
Oh,
we should maybe give that a try. Maybe off pod, but yeah, we've gotten very sidetracked here. I'm gonna go back to Uriel,
Let's steer
real
us
quick
back on
backtrack.
course here.
Yeah, get it back in the saddle. So, but yeah, like I said, fastball would be a little way up. His slider plays up as well. When he's kind of in these shorter stints coming out of the bullpen. Obviously, he won reliever of the year in the MPB with the Chinoochee Dragons, which pretty like that's notable, right? That's a high like high quality. Like obviously, it's not one to one the same as the majors, but obviously he's able to perform in that role, like in a proven and one of the best professional baseball leagues in the world. Um, and then also his stuff plus, like there is concrete numbers again in the caveat small sample so far this year. So his overall stuff plus up from 94 to 101. The four seam all the way up from 86 to 98, obviously with the big deal spike there, and the slider kind of ticking up there from 104 to 107 a little bit. And I did just want to share this quote as well from um, Rodriguez that I think is pretty cool. He said his approach to pitching and leverage is an all-out mentality. And he said it's just one inning, so it's different when you're starting. I have a killer mentality when I come out of the eighth inning because obviously it means we're winning by 1 or 2 runs. I have to hold that lead. So mentality-wise, I'm a killer. That's pretty harsh.
Damn, that's crazy. I completely forgot about that. I don't know why that didn't stick with me the first time I read it, but now that you read it again, like yeah, that's what you might have just swayed my mind to keep him in the bullpen. I don't
yeah,
know.
that's what made him really good in Japan too, when he was a reliever for the Shinichi Dragons and he was one of the top he was actually a closer for that team too. Is yeah, like he was able to throw a little bit more velo, because you could be pitching a shorter amount of innings, of course. What I've noticed is like he's throwing more of his just primary pitches, his fastball, his slider more, and he's cutting down on the sinkers and splitters, albeit again short sample size. But he's gonna be a little bit more selective when he's gonna use his sinker and his split finger fastball to make it a little bit more deceptive as well. So at this point, I was questioning why we were just sticking with Yariel in the bullpen, knowing that Scherzer went down and he was gonna go on the injured list. But of course, like my opinion will change depending on how Easton Lucas sticks in the rotation and what Jake Bloss does in AAA. Obviously, not a good start from Jake, but hopefully he'll bounce back. But I like what I'm seeing so far. Like you touched up on it, Ian. We don't have enough relievers that throw for velo, and I think having that mix of having high velocity with finesse pitchers, throwing from weird angle slots, all that is a nice balance for for a decent bullpen because that's something that Jays that's probably gonna be one of their weaknesses going into the season is their bullpen. Um, I mean, it didn't start off great in Baltimore. You do have a couple of guys that are just AAA pitchers, of course. So then obviously the depth is gonna be an issue if there is injuries. But yeah, we'll see how that carries into the season.
Yeah, and me and
Yeah,
Zach
I
were
was yeah.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say we were talking about it earlier today off the podcast, just about because you kind of have to weigh it, right? You look, okay, you have this need in the rotation. Gariel's been in the rotation before. He would probably be the best suited option to go and take that role. But there's a bit of an opportunity cost there as far as how well would he actually perform in the rotation, and are you going to be losing possibly like a high quality leverage reliever and getting in return like a bit of a mediocre starter, quite honestly. Like you look at Uriel's numbers last year as a starter, he had a 4.47 ERA. The FIP I don't think was particularly good. I don't think the underlying stats expect ERA were it wasn't like he got super unlucky. I don't think the results were great for him or the process. So and then you look at how stuff is playing up so far in the bullpen, yeah, maybe you kind of got to consider maybe that is the better option. And then, like we were talking about, you bring in Easton Lucas, and he did a. To be fair, again, it was against a like lefty laden lineup of the Nationals. So like maybe results will be different when he faces the Red Sox potentially on Tuesday next week. Um,
Yeah.
but with Easton Lucas, one thing in particular I wanted to mention was his changeup. He has a new changeup this year. He went from throwing a circle change that I guess he had command issues with in the past, and he had some difficulty locating, to a seam shifted wake changeup where he's throwing it more like a cutter and using seam shifted wakes in a similar way that we've seen guys like Chris Sale and Tarek Skubal, Cy Young winners last year do. Um, and uh, and so yeah, that's super interesting. I thought that the break on it looked really nice, and he managed to induce a few whips that way. So yeah, an interesting change and a good result for Lucas.
Yeah, I just want to touch up on Easton Lucas. Only allowed just two hard hit balls against the Nationals on Wednesday. So king of the soft contact that definitely plays in modern baseball right now. Just to do soft contact, be less deceptive, locate your changeups effectively down in the zone, not hang it for to just be throwing beach balls. So that's definitely huge. Obviously, small sample size against Nationals that have a lot of lefties. So we'll see how that carries out. I'm not gonna expect Easton Lucas to be like a top-notch fifth starter going the rest of the way. I think he might be serviceable depending on the matchups. And then you're gonna have guys in the bullpen like Yariel carry the load after potentially like a short time on the mound. If he gets roughed up every once in a while. I'm expecting some like rough starts from Lucas every now and then because pitchers that throw soft contact, there's gonna be times where they're not gonna have they're not gonna be able to throw for a good command. They might get and you're also in a tough division as well with the Yankees and the Red Sox. We'll see how that plays out as well. So but, yeah, it's so far so good so far.
Yeah, just one more quick thing on the whole Rodriguez, starter versus reliever conversation. I woke up this morning, I was a firm believer that Rodriguez probably should have been moved to the rotation, but as my day went on, we had that conversation on the train, Ian. I don't know, I'm starting to think like, I think I kinda like giving Easton Lucas a little bit of runway here because now that I've seen Easton Lucas on a big league mound today with his first major league start, uh, it looked better than I thought it was going to look. And Yariel, ever since you said that quote, man, again, I think he's a dog, and we want dogs at the back end of the pen. Like that's you can't teach closer mentality. You can't look at somebody and go, "Hey, you're going to be a closer. Let's make you into a close." Like no, they have to have it in them. Like it's a thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at Uriel. Like there was a lot of talk about this last year when he first joined the team, but he just has that look, man. He just looks like an absolute like a savage. Like I don't know, he's got
He does.
that kind of killer look.
He looks like a dog. Yeah.
It's like a killer.
Someone you'd want in your corner for sure.
Yeah, just that like death stare kind of thing. He's intimidating for sure. So he's got that kind of looks like a leverage guy almost as well. So that's gonna be it for today. Wrapping the kind of what's gone on with the Blue Jays lately. Today against the Nats and over the course of the opening homestand. Very successful one for the team. We'll see if that kind of success continues into this weekend series against the Mets. We have Kevin Gosman going against Tyler McGill as the probable starters for a 3 o'clock afternoon game on Friday. Chris Bassett and Griffin Canning line up on Saturday, and then it's going to be Bowden Francis and David Peterson most likely on the Sunday. So cool slate of games ahead. Jays will wrap up the road trip in Boston and then Baltimore after that. A couple fun divisional series. And we'll be back with another podcast soon to get into some more of that stuff. Maybe talk some about Bo Bichette's great start to the season. Talk about some of the other starters in Toronto's rotation that have been performing well. Bowden taking another no-hitter deep the other day. So lots more to break down Blue Jays wise. Very exciting start to the season. Lots of very exciting baseball ahead. So thanks for listening to us today, and we'll have more for you guys soon.
Bowden will get that no-hitter.